out of a question that came, or two questions. Two of the brothers from Trinidad was asking about something that Brother Houtif had written about the ministers, and we're just going to be looking at it. I'm just going to continue with Sister Pat's prayer. In Psalm 37, verse 23, it states, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way." And they particularly were asking about what Brother Houtif had written right here. They were asking about this reference, ordination of ministers and the requirement to being a minister. And they particularly were asking about 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 to 7, ordination of ministers. I guess they were talking about it in Trinidad in the week. The Davidian Seventh-day Adventists shall recognize only the scriptural law of ordination, to wit, 1, that the call to the gospel ministry must come from God to the individual, and that 2, it must be followed in strict fidelity to the requirements of gospel order. So what is this word? Must, right? So this was what they were talking about. Must be followed in strict requirements of gospel order, as enunciated in Luke chapter 10, verse 3 to 9, Matthew chapter 10, verses 5 to 11. And these are verses that we can read on our own time. And 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1, or verse 1 to 7. Now let's go back from right here. This is Adventist Home. It states, "Let the woman who desires a peaceful, happy union, 2, who would escape future misery and sorrow." So that's like 3 things mentioned there. Peaceful, happy, misery, and sorrow. So the opposite of peace is what? Misery. And the opposite of happy union is what? So you can have an existence with these two as the predominant two. You see? But God intended that this should be the predominant two. It goes on and say, how are we going to know this? And we're coming to what Brother Houtif discussed. Inquire before she yields her affection. Has my lover a mother? What is the stamp of her character? So this is what now, genetics, or character building, or, trait of stamp. Does he recognize his obligations to her? No, she might be dead too, That's a possibility. So what inspiration is given is clues as to how people should proceed. Does he recognize his obligations to her? Is he mindful of her wishes and what? Happiness. If he does not respect and honor his mother, will he manifest respect and love? This is a question, because sometimes people change. Sometimes. If he does not respect and honor his mother, will he manifest respect, love, and kindness and attention toward his wife? This is just a question. Person have to answer. When the novelty of marriage is over, will he love me still? Now, this is what, I just put the question in AI and asked how long the novelty of marriage lasted, and they do statistics. They say it lasts between 6. This is what it says. How long does the novelty of a new relationship last? New relationship energy usually lasts between 6 months and 2 years. But this can vary depending on the individuals. So it's not that this is a general rule. This is a statistics and the dynamics of their relationship. As time passes and the relationship progresses, these feelings gradually fade as the brain returns to its normal state. Do you understand what that means? The person becomes by themselves. You understand? So then you have the person that their mother created, or the father, whatever. They just drift back into. So what was going on for this period of time was pretty much, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's pretense or what it was, but it states here that people tend to drift back as to who they naturally were before. That wears off. It just wears off. Well, some people do, you know. Yeah, but probably they're not too. It's just like you're running on adrenaline, and then it just fades and it goes back. But some people normal default tendency, though, you know, is still happiness, cheerfulness. So their default is still, the home is still going to be happy, because when they drift back to their default, but they might be overly excited for the 2 years. Understand? So possible, we don't know. But let's go back. When the novelty of marriage is over, will he love me still? Will he be patient with my mistakes? Or will he be critical, overbearing, dictatorial? These are questions. True affection, this is true affection, will overlook many mistakes. So you see what true affection does? When you have genuine affection, it overlooks many mistakes. Love will what? No, that's powerful, you know. Love will not discern them. But will people make mistakes? Will they be there? They can be there. But it says true love does not discern them. No, we're not there as yet. No, it continues. And this is from Answer, Book 3, page 83 to 84. So I'm starting here. Accordingly, no God-fearing young man, Davidian, this is the key. Davidian young man can morally permit himself to contemplate. So morally, the Davidian young man will not contemplate marriage unless he be one who, having early in life determined what trade or profession he be best fitted for, has set his goal and has either reached it or is well on the way to reaching it, has built and furnished himself a house, or has the means to do so, or at least, this is the bare minimum, at least has furnished or is able to furnish one. So if he cannot even buy furniture, that is the least. He should be able to buy some furniture. Neglecting this, he will make life a drudgery and a what? Instead of being nobly independent of others, he will be ignobly dependent upon them. Instead of being an uplifting influence to society, he will be a what? So here, what Brother Houghton is saying, for anyone to ignore this, the criteria here is that the person should at least be able to furnish a house, or they should determine early in life what trade or profession they be best fitted for, has set his goal and has either reached it. And sometimes people don't discuss these things. They don't. No, we continue. Every devout Davidian young man will avoid such tragedy by fully preparing for this greatest experience in what? No. So of all the experiences one can have in life, whether they become a Christian, whether they become a Davidian, whether they become rich, whatever happened to them in life, here inspiration said the greatest experience in life is marriage. A happy marriage. He said that is the greatest experience in life. And Adam got Eve before the Sabbath. So, this greatest experience in life, before venturing upon it, he will remember that before the Lord brought man into existence, he first made the earth man's home, and then furnished it with light, air, food, water, with shrub, tree, grass, with bird, beast, and cattle. And knowing this, he will what? Besides meeting all these indispensable qualifications, the prospective husband who cherishes matrimonial success will not take the step of marriage before he has qualified himself to do home duties. Those who do conclude themselves led to elect, this is a choice, and who are determined to move in the fear to the fear to the glory of God will necessarily marry only in the Lord. They will not take to themselves either unbelievers or unconverted worldly, careless, or what? Unconsecrated who? So you can have unconsecrated Davidian believers. They will set their affections only upon one who is an earnest, zealous, industrious, spirit-minded, adherent to what? We continue. Woman accepts as a life companion only one who possesses pure manly traits of character. What is the opposite of a man? No, a woman. So here Sister White is saying, once a woman is looking, the man that she's looking at should have manly traits, not effeminate traits. Of character, one who is diligent, aspiring, and honest, one who loves and fears God. Shun those who are irreverent. Shun one who is a lover of idleness. Shun the one who is a scoffer of hallowed things. Listen not to the proposals of a man who has no realization of his responsibility to God. The pure truth which sanctifies the soul will give you courage to cut yourself loose from the most pleasing acquaintance, whom you know does not love and fear God, and who knows nothing of the principles of true righteousness. Brother Houghton picks up the conversation. Let a young man seek one to stand by his side, who is fitted to bear her share of life's burdens, one whose influence will ennoble and refine him, and who will make him happy in her love. He should earnestly pray for a woman that will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Proverbs 31 verse 12. One that worketh willingly with her hands. Proverbs 31 verse 13. If she can keep the house clean and neat and orderly, if she can proficiently cook, launder, and sew, if she can care for the sick and administer first aid, if she can intelligently care for children, if she can raise a thrifty garden to supply her table with plenty of fresh vegetables, if she can do all these, then she is worthy of the respect owing a good wife. She has acquired the cement of a strong, enduring union. Even so, though, respecting and respected. So respecting is a giving, and respected is she's getting, as she must be. She also must have some trade or profession, so that should the husband take sick or become disabled or be taken away, she can head the home and care for its needs and meets its problems. Here are things which should be considered. Will the one you marry bring happiness to your home? Is she an economist? Or will she, if married, not only use all her own earnings, but all of yours to gratify a vanity, a love of appearance? Are her principles correct in this direction? Has she anything now to depend upon? I know that to the mind of a man infatuated with love, the thoughts of marriage, these questions will be brushed away as though they were of no consequence. But these things should be duly what? So this is now the female should also have something to bring to the table. Now we go right here. And this, since Brother Houghton had brought out, the question stem from this, since God's ordained ministers, and this is what the question came from. Since all of these saints, you have children right there. You see this as a child? And they're more than likely, there are several more children there too. That's going to be in there. The question was asked, and the question came from ordination of ministers, and Brother Houghton states right here that the minister should be married. And the question is then, will those little ones be married as is required of them, because they also will be ministers and priests of the Most High? And this was a reference that Brother Houghton had alluded to. Do we close the day off or do we continue? Do we stop and pray? We continue? Okay. 1 Timothy chapter 3. And this is what pretty much he summed up. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a minister or minister, or part of the ministry, he desireth a good work. A bishop or a minister then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. These are all the requirements. Blameless, vigilant, sober, good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given to wine, no striker. He doesn't physically abuse a person, not greedy of filthy lucre, patient, not a brawler. Before in the Caribbean, I know in Jamaica, sometimes they say this person is brawling. It means somebody who like to argue, constant argument in the home, loud, vulgar. So it shows you that the criteria right here in the Leviticus shows you that those in the ministry, even now, have the characteristics of saints. I mean, pretty much the way they conduct themselves and deal with other people. Good behavior, blameless, vigilant, sober. And just to be vigilant is just like to be spatially aware. You're aware of how you deal with people, what's going on. It's just to be careful. Sober means it's the opposite of being a drunkard. And this not is talking necessarily about alcohol. It's just talking about somebody who's sober. No striker. Now the next question was, if someone is not the striker, but is being stricken or smitten in the home, a Christian, let's say the person a Christian, it could be male or female, because sometimes females do physically abuse males, but they don't talk about it. They just absorb it because they're ashamed to discuss it. If the person who is the abused take it, could they be in this ministry? Since the criteria that Paul gives is that the home of the ministers or the people will not exemplify anything that is against these characters. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those in the ministry, their homes will exemplify everything that's here. And this is why Sister White says true love doesn't see, it doesn't allot blame. It is vigilant, but not vigilant to accuse and blame. Sober, good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given to wine, no striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity, not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without, even outside the gate, lest he fall into the reproach and the snare of the devil. And this, Brother Houtif, exemplify, that is the character that the Christian home should have. And all of the 144 will exemplify this, and probably none of us have reached a state of this as yet in its entirety. And this is one of the requirements that he has right here. And let me read this. This Shepherd by Volume 1, page 39. Read in Isaiah 61, verse 5 and 6. And strangers, Gentiles are those who are not of the 144,000, shall stand and feed your flocks. And your sons, and the sons of alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But ye shall be named the priests of the Lord. Men shall call you ministers of our God. Men shall call you ministers of our God. They call them that by exemplifying everything that's right here. And if you have a home where this is the predominant factor, no blame, vigilant to watch personal self, sober, kind, being good to others, given to hospitality that's kind, apt to teach righteousness, not given to wine, no striker, and this doesn't have to be physical too. Now, one of the things that for Davidians that currently live in these situations, how do they deal with these issues? If a Davidian sister is in a home with someone who's not a Davidian and she's being smitten or he is being smitten, if he takes it, could he be sealed? No, he couldn't. If you sit down and take abuse, that's not how the Lord wants you to live. You are enabling the person. But others will sit and judge you and tell you that you have no right to leave because Sister White's only one condition you should leave under. But the rod is the last message, and this is why Brother Houtif is saying, for all those who are going to be ministers in the message, if they're contemplating marriage, if it is anything less than this, they can't be ministers. So he said, and this is what happens. Sometimes people are being abused physically. And he says, not given to wine, not a greedy of filthy lucre, patient. And this is something too that it has to be exercised even towards the children, because foolishness is in children and you really have to be patient with them. Not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in all subjection with all gravity. And this too shows you, even when adults are upset with each other, someone does us as individuals wrong, and we feel aggrieved, we don't go in the house and talk negative about the association or other people before the children. You can't do that stuff. You're not ruling your children properly. Once the children start to hear you criticizing the association or people or talking bad, you cannot be sealed because you're not ruling your house well. Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall in the condemnation of the devil. And so I know you're warm, and so we're not going to go long tonight. All right, so this tells you, if we are living by these characteristics that Brother Houghton outlined right here, these references, it will tell you that we are on our way to being sealed. Because all these things that are mentioned here are things that we're over the house talking about this evening, me and Brother Davin, talking about these things. And he's saying these are things that we need to emphasize amongst us ourselves too. So, and this, what Paul is saying, this is what Brother Houghton is saying, this is what the Davidian home should be like. This is what it should be like. And so once we're living like that, and this is just a beautiful thing. Each person striving to outdo the other in hospitality, in good behavior, being sober and kind, and being sober when you're dealing with situation, you don't fly off the handle, as they say, and lose your mind. Okay? And up to teach. And, I'm going to close with this. One of the things that I've learned especially at the house and dealing with the children, once you start to, I find that they give respect based on how they see you treat other people with respect. Because we have a rule in the house. I always tell them, if Benjamin is talking something to me and he just might say, talk about a man, we don't talk and whisper. Because that's how I talk to them. I tell them that we don't whisper. If you can't say something, don't say it. So these things that inspiration is telling us, we should conduct ourselves, even amongst ourselves too, the things that we talk about. And I just wanted to bring these things out. So it's not saying that these little children, because they're ministers, they're going to be married on this side, but they surely will be married in the kingdom, and they will exemplify all these traits. I rest my case. Have a good night.
Thank you for listening. This has been a production of the Davidian Seventh-day Adventist Association. You can find us online at www.bationhill.org, and you can call us at 417-835-2162.